Hi, everyone, and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from New York. I'm Susan Tehrani. First, let's take a look at this hour's headlines. The Kremlin says a price cap on Russian oil exports agreed by the European Union, G7, and Australia will not affect Moscow's military campaign in Ukraine. Businesses reopen and testing requirements relax in Beijing and other Chinese cities as the country tentatively eases out of a strict zero-COVID policy that has sparked nationwide protests. UK's opposition Labour Party vows to scrap the unelected House of Lords as part of a constitutional revamp to redistribute economic growth after Brexit. Iran seals a jewelry shop and restaurant belonging to football legend Ali Daei after he backed protesters' call for strikes this week, according to local media reports. England pulls off one of their greatest overseas test victories by beating Pakistan in Rawalpindi.
Outstanding test match cricket. Oh, they got through those runs and made them at a fair clip. Oh, close, very close, given. And they're not shining the ball on his head anymore, they're slapping his head in delight.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has called for the termination of the Constitution to overturn the 2020 election results. Trump expressed his views in a post on his social network, Truth Social, this weekend. He also accused Big Tech of working closely with Democrats. Donald Trump's suggestion drew scathing rebuke from politicians of both sides of the aisle. Some experts suggest that even by Trump's unorthodox standards, the suggestions of ignoring the Constitution, standards that form the foundation of the American political system, is staggering. The White House also condemned the comments by Donald Trump. It read, quote, "Attacking the Constitution, all it stands for, is anathema to the soul of our nation and should be universally condemned," end of quote. Politicians of both parties took to Twitter and expressed their agreement. Adam Kinzinger wasted no time. He was one of the few Republicans to vote to impeach Trump for, quote, inciting the January 6, 2021 attacks on the U.S. Capitol. He said not a single conservative can legitimately support him. Trump's Truth Social post came a day after Elon Musk's released internal correspondence showing how company staff interacted with Democrats and others in the run-up to the 2020 election. Many had accused Twitter of suppressing stories critical of Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. Recently, the former president has suffered a series of setbacks, including to the poor showing of several candidates he had endorsed in the November midterm elections.
just as the price of oil reached an all. Thank you. Thank you.
Georgia's Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker made a final campaign push just days ahead of Georgia's highly anticipated runoff election.
Let's be honest here. Did anyone think he can beat Herschel Walker in a debate? Let's be real about this. Because what he was this preacher that I call a false prophet. He was this preacher that I call a wolf in sheep's clothing, because what he tried to do to me, but he couldn't do it to me. Whenever he get in trouble, he tried to throw those Bible verses on me.
Walker faces Democrat candidate Senator Raphael Warnock. Election officials reported heavy turnout in Georgia on the last day of early voting ahead of the December 6th runoff election. The Georgia runoff will determine whether Democrats can add to their razor-thin majority in the U.S. Senate. It is the second time in 2 years that the Senate race has gone to a runoff in Georgia because neither candidate can secure a majority of the vote. Warnock's victory would give Democrats a 51-seat majority in the 100-seat Senate. That would make it slightly easier for them to advance in a Democratic President Joe Biden's nominee for judicial and administrative posts.
So we got 2 more days, Athens. We've had incredible turnout during the early vote period, but do not rest on the strength of that.
That's right.
Don't spike the football before you get into the end zone. Don't dance until we brought this thing on home. For the future.
In recent years, Georgia has emerged as one of the most hotly contested states in U.S. politics. It has also been a flashpoint in the battle over election rules. In the November 8th election, Warnock narrowly edged Walker by 49.44% to 48.49%.
He's not voting with 96% of the time with, and I want you to tell 10 of your friends, to tell 10 of their friends, that if you don't have no friends, make a friend. You know, they're getting better health care, they're getting better everything.
More than 130 artillery shells into the sea of its North Korea has fired more than 130 artillery shells into the sea of its east and west coast. This comes after North Korea detected military drills across the border in the south. Some of the shells landed in a buffer zone near the sea border, and Seoul is calling this a violation of a 2018 Inter-Korean agreement designed to reduce tension. According to North Korea's state media, its military conducted the firing after detecting dozens of projectiles fired in the south near the shared border. The South Korean military sent several warnings communicating to the north over the firing. South Korea and the United States are conducting a joint land-based firing drill. Their drills are set to continue on December 6th. This year, the allies have stepped up joint military exercises. According to them, the drills are necessary to deter the nuclear-armed North, as it has resumed testing of its long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles for the first time since 2017. North Korea has criticized the joint drills as evidence of a hostile policy by Washington and Seoul. New reports say that Beijing has set up more than 100 so-called overseas police stations across the world to monitor and harass and in some cases repatriate Chinese citizens living abroad. A Madrid-based human rights group first revealed the existence of 54 such stations back in September, and now it has found evidence of 48 more such stations. The report cited examples of the Chinese nationals being coerced into returning to China from France and other countries, including Serbia and Spain. However, China has denied running an undeclared police system overseas. In a statement last month, China's Foreign Affairs Ministry said, quote, "We hope that the relevant parties stop hyping it up to create tension. Using this as a pretext to smear China is unacceptable." China has also claimed that some of these stations were set up in response to the pandemic. However, according to the report, these overseas offices were opened several years before. Meanwhile, FBI Director Christopher Wray told a Homeland Security Committee last month that he was very concerned about possible UN-authorized Chinese police stations across U.S. cities. Also, Ireland and Canada have issued an order asking Chinese police stations found on its territory to shut down. Staying with China, while China is taking baby steps to ease its COVID rules, the Chinese state television has censored the World Cup games, which are currently being held in Qatar. The decision was taken in order to remove the shots of maskless crowds that have packed various stadiums across Doha. The World Cup in Qatar, with no social distancing rules, has angered the Chinese nationals who are complaining of severe isolation under Chinese President Xi Jinping's zero-COVID policy. According to reports, China's state-owned channel, the China Central Television, has edited the live games with the aim to avoid live shots of the cheering crowds. Instead, they are showing close-ups of the players and the coaches. Dozens of students gathered at a university in central China and protested against COVID policies. The students, carrying umbrellas, chanted for officials to make the process open and make information more transparent. Demonstrations also erupted in Washington against China's zero-COVID policies. About 200 people held a protest 2 blocks away from the White House. They lit candles and chanted, "Free China." Meanwhile, residents in Beijing expressed mixed opinions towards easing of the world's toughest COVID-19 curbs.
我觉得这个不好说，这说变就变，因为你像周6的话，商场开，第二天开是周5晚上就才通知的，第二天开，就是很奇怪，就是突然也能放开，就是在意外当中这件事儿，我觉得对我来说因为觉得就是病例越来越多，结果商场居然又可以让你开放了，但是堂食还没有开放，可能我估计也会很快吧。
对我来说，感觉触动还挺小的，毕竟我们上班还是要72小时核酸。至少我在这个吃饭还是要需要48小时核酸，对我来说感觉并没有放开特别多嘛，主要就是这样一个想法，然后但是至少它也是算是放开的一小步，也算是整体的一个进步吧。
Berlin doesn't see New Delhi as a replacement partner for Beijing, and India has always been a partner for Germany. The words were echoed during German Foreign Affairs Minister Annalena Baerbock and her Indian counterpart S. Jaishankar in a meeting in New Delhi today. The German minister, who is on a 2-day visit to India, also said that India is a natural partner for Germany, and both nations share a partnership based on values.
Nein, ist die kurze Antwort auf Ersatzpartner, weil Indien war schon immer Partner für Deutschland und auch Partner für die Europäische Union. Aber diese Partnerschaft, die wollen wir weiter vertiefen und wollen wir weiter ausbauen.
During the meeting, S. Jaishankar made India's stance clear on buying Russian oil, adding that the European governments understand India's position, but not the European media.
Beginning with press statements.
Mit der Migrations- und Mobilitätspartnerschaft, die wir hier gerade gemeinsam unterzeichnet haben, vereinfachen wir den Austausch zwischen unseren Ländern. Wir unterstützen mit der Migrations- und Mobilitätspartnerschaft die Lebenspläne von Fachkräften, Studierenden und Auszubildenden. Und wir wollen ganz konkret entbürokratisieren, zum Beispiel indem Wartezeiten für Visaanträge deutlich verkürzt wird. Denn wir wollen, dass hochqualifizierte Fachkräfte und junge Menschen aus Indien zukünftig leichter nach Deutschland kommen können.
India also clarified its stance on the Ukraine-Russia war.
Thank you.
Other than holding talks over the issues of global importance like Ukraine, Russia war, and ongoing oil crisis, the German and Indian ministers also signed comprehensive partnership agreement on migration and mobility.
Thank you.
The two sides also discussed ramping up bilateral cooperation in energy, trade, and climate change. The German minister also expressed Berlin's concern about Indo-Pacific region.
Thank you.
The White House witnessed stars walking the red carpet to attend the 45th Kennedy Center honors. The event saw actor and filmmaker George Clooney, singer-songwriter Amy Grant, rock band U2, and many more in attendance. 5 honorees were feted for their lifetime and artistic contributions. President Biden paid tribute to the honorees before the ceremony and praised them before a star-studded East Room crowd. The honorees of the event were actor and filmmaker George Clooney, Irish rock band U2, groundbreaking composer and conductor Tanya Leon, and contemporary Christian singer Amy Grant.
Tonight we celebrate a truly exceptional, and it's not an exaggeration, a truly exceptional group of artists. Who embody the very spirit of we the people. At this year's Kennedy Center honorees, they're all an incredible group of people. We see Amal Clooney's husband.
Biden talked of actor, director, producer, and human rights activist George Clooney's on-camera work and off-screen charity endeavors, calling him a character in real life.
He travels to war zones to end genocides and war crimes, exposes war profiteers, helps refugees, and advances the rights of journalists, raises millions of dollars to support 9/11 first responders, victims of natural disaster, and advocates who, along with him, are combating hate.
Who's your favorite child?
Clooney attended the event with his wife, Amal Clooney, and father Nick. Joining his son on stage, Nick Clooney said George's best and most important work is still ahead of him.
Well, it's kind of beautiful. It's it's celebrating the arts, which I do love. It's also sharing it with, I normally, Amy Grant and Tanya Leone and I wouldn't be in sort of the same categories and things. So it's really special that we all get to kind of cross-pollinate and learn and hear about other people's lives. It's beautiful.
Irish band U2 with members Bono, The Edge, Adam Clayton, and Larry Mullen Jr. were among the honorees of this year. Biden called U2 the four sons of Ireland whose music has changed the world.
For more than 40 years, U2 has changed the world. Anthems about civil rights, solidarity of workers, a struggle for peace, ballads about love and family, concerts dedicated to ending poverty and disease. 22 Grammys, 46 nominations, more wins than any group in history.
Vice President Kamala Harris attended the event with her husband, Douglas Emhoff. Meanwhile, House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her husband, Paul, made their first appearance since the hammer attack. They even got a standing ovation when they appeared on a balcony.
Way more Who's your favorite child?
Listen, you can't rank them, but it's a...
Which one is way more important? Who's your favorite child?
Well, Australia has started developing a vast network of antennas to create one of the most powerful radio telescopes in the world. The idea for the telescope was first conceived in the early 1990s, but the project was delayed due to funding and other issues. Have a look.
Completion, the two complementary telescopes will be the ears on either side of the planet, allowing us to listen to those murmurings from the deep universe which are driving such excitement in both science and deeper our understanding of the universe in which we live and the origins of life.
Thank you so much for joining us from New York City for this news desk. I'm Susan Tehrani. Goodbye.
This is great, Arab.